All right, we're so excited. Today is the day. I am so excited that you all showed up today. Thank you for coming to this beautiful summit with these amazing new authors. I'm just so honored that you guys came to be with us today. So my name is Kira Polson. If you do not know me, I am the CEO of Freedom House Publishing Co., which is a publishing house for sacred stories, which means that we only publish sacred stories. And this book that we are talking about today is so powerfully sacred. And I'm so excited to share this with every one of you. So today, how it's going to go is we have about 3/4 of our authors. I'm looking through all of our authors here. We don't have a handful who couldn't come today. And so I just want to acknowledge them, even though they're not physically present. We are going to be talking about this book, our brand new book. This book is called Collaboration with the Divine, a Sacred Communion. It is 18 different women's stories of how they collaborate with the divine, who the divine is for them, how they hear the divine, how they co-create. And today we get to talk about these stories. We also get to talk about how it was to write this book in 4 weeks, because we wrote this book in 4 weeks, which is kind of crazy. And we're going to open up the space for everyone here to also ask questions, to ask any questions that you may have for these readers. I am going to send this recording out to everyone who showed up. Also, I wanted to put the link to our Amazon. So I'm just going to send that out. Claire, who's my beautiful publishing assistant, also my best friend and sister, she's here holding down this call. Claire, if you could get the link to this book and put it in the chat, that way anyone who's here can just click straight over to Amazon. I do want to acknowledge that all the proceeds from this book are going toward the Centers of Hope. So Centers of Hope are something that I am in creation of, which will be physical buildings to support individuals who struggle with suicide ideation. And all the proceeds are going to the creation, to the setup, everything that this is going to take to make these a reality. So go over, grab this. This is going to be the book that you are going to want like 10. And you're going to give this to your neighbors. You're going to give this to your moms. You're going to give this to your sisters. Like, these are the stories that aren't told anymore. I think a lot about, even 50 years ago, how women would gather and they would quilt. They would gather and they would share their stories. And it's like a lost art. There's not a lot of places that women gather and share their stories anymore, especially like really sacred stories. And that's what I see this book being, is this is like us gathering and bringing our sacred stories and sharing them. So I am so excited that you are all here. I'm so excited that this book is live today. And I want to just kind of open the space up to any of the authors. If there's something on anyone's heart about either this book or what your experience was with writing this book, I would love for you to just unmute and share what might be present for you. Does anyone have anything they might want to share just to start today off with? Yes, CC.
Hey, everybody. Can you hear me okay?
Yep.
The whole experience has been magical, of course. But I have got to say, I just keep playing over and over in my mind how I just am in a state of anticipation of what magic this really is going to bring. Because, I mentioned in our group thing once, but when you called me to invite me to be one of the authors in the book, the week before, I had just received a message from my guides that from that moment forward, God was going to be guiding me using the numbers 222 in any type of sequence. And then when you call me, you're like, hey, Cece, I'm doing this book collaboration. It's for the Centers of Hope and and it's going to be released on 2/22/22. And everything after that, Kira was like, wah, 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 wah. I was like, oh my, and I got chills right now. But I was like, oh my God. And that was the first thing after I had gotten that message that happened using 222. I mean, you see that all the time, but that specific message. And it said from this moment forward, 222. And so I just cannot wait to see what this book is going to do in the world, because I know for sure it is magical, it is intentional, it is going to be life-changing and dynamic for people, including us. I don't know what it, for each of you guys, but I'm so thankful that you're always obedient to your guidance too. And yeah, I just wanted to share that because that just blows me away every time.
I love that. I love that. And that's really how this whole book started, right? Like, this has been such a magical experience for me. At the beginning of December, I think it was the first week of December, I was asking God, how do I raise money for these centers of hope? Like, this is going to take like millions of dollars. How do I begin even like chipping away at such a large amount of money? And I saw a vision of a book. And I heard God say, put together a compilation book. And up to that point, I've never published a compilation book. I had no idea how to do it. I mean, bless your souls, y'all got to watch me like make a bazillion mistakes along this first compilation book, but really like also not. Like, we did this so fast. First week of December, I sent out the call. I heard God give me some names. I reached out to some of you individually. I felt you guys come in, and within 3 weeks, we had 18 authors. Within about 4 weeks, all of you wrote your chapters. So from the beginning of December to January 1st, we had 18 chapters written. 18 authors said yes. Like, it gives me goosebumps right now because that's impossible. Like, literally, we did the impossible. And January 1st, I went to my editor, who, bless her soul, worked so hard. She edited our whole book in about 15 days, which was insane. We pulled this together, and this book is live not even 3 months later. We are at the 10-week marker of when this vision came to me. That right there just shows like the power of God. And what happens when we don't question, when we say yes, no matter what. And I really honor each one of you because you showed up in the craziest time of year, December. I asked you to write a chapter in December. Y'all have like bazillions of kids. You all run businesses, and yet you all wrote your chapter in the busiest month of the year. I hope that stands as a witness that anything and everything is possible with God. And that is really what I got from this book. I read your guys' chapters in 4 days because I had to. It was like the most intense 4 days of my life because I was running business, raising 5 kids, reading 18 different chapters, also writing 4 chapters because I wrote 4 chapters in this book because I had seen that 22 chapters need to be in this book, right? So those were intense 4 days. In those 4 days, I was gifted to see how God has witnessed through every one of you, how he works with you, how your angels work with you, how the divine speaks to you. And that's what's so beautiful, is that when we hear people say, yeah, God spoke to me. Yeah, I hear God. A lot of people are like, I don't know how you hear God. How do I hear God? And what's so rad is that every one of you hears differently. So my belief is that as people read this book, they will begin to understand how they can hear the divine, how they can collaborate with the divine, because everybody's story illustrates a different way. So what I would love to do actually is I would love for each one of you as the author, we'll just start with who's first on my screen, which I've got, let's see who's first on my screen. I've got Mariah. Mariah, if you can just unmute, say your name, say where you're from, and then maybe share one of your favorite parts of writing this book.
Good morning. Good morning. Can everyone hear me okay? Yeah.
Yep.
Okay,
You can.
good. Good morning. My name is Mariah Slingerland, and I live in Encinitas, California. And my favorite part of writing this book has been knowing that knowing that this was such a profound moment in all of our lives when we talk about it and we get the chills and we get the goosebumps. I call them the truth bumps, because it's the divine reaching out to you and saying, yes, this is true. This is what is truth. This is where we're trying to get you to go. And it's the truth of this force greater than us. And when I sat down, and I think maybe 2 days before Kira had contacted me, I started to receive messages about this great work of our lives coming, that all of these people were coming together to write this great work of our lives. And I was thinking, okay, and I've tried to write a book for 5 years now, and all the pieces hadn't come together. So I did what Kira suggested. Before I went to bed, I just prayed and said, okay, if you want me to write this book, then tell me what is meant to be in it. And wake up, nothing, wake up, nothing. And then on the third day, Kira had contacted me. Hey, you want to write this book? I'm like, yeah, I already received the messages. So then I continued that process. Show me what's meant. What do you want me to share about my journey with you in this book? What do you want me to share? So I'd go to bed, wake up, nothing. Go to bed, wake up, nothing. And then on the third day, it was like the skies opened, and that all the information just started to come. And that's when you sit, you're connected to the divine, and you're just allowing that inspiration to come through you, through your heart, out your fingertips, and down if you write it or if you type it. And that's how my chapter came. It was like in the matter of an hour, I was done. And I was like, well, that's what co-creating with the divine is. It is easy. It is easy. There are no roadblocks when we're connected to the divine, our divine voice, what the divine is encouraging us to do. It is full of ease and grace. So that is how this whole thing, this is how the chapter came through me.
Wow, Mariah, thank you. And I have to really acknowledge Mariah, because this vision of the book came to me that first week of December, and I was like, oh, I don't know how to do this. I don't really know. And I was on the phone with Mariah, and I don't even know why we were on the phone. I don't know if you had called, it was like, we don't even talk that much. And I'm on the phone, and God's like, tell Mariah about this book. And I'm like, I got this idea. And Mariah's like, I'm in. And as soon as Mariah said she was in, the book became real. And I was like, well, Mariah's in. All right, Mariah's in. And then it's from then on, it was just full speed. And so I just really want to honor you, Mariah, for being the fertile ground that I could share this idea into, that really nourished this dream. So thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Amy, I would love for you to share. You're next on my stream. Why don't you share a little bit about how was writing your chapter?
Awesome. My story is very similar to Mariah in that when I first, got the message that we were wanting us to write this chapter, I wasn't sure what I wanted to write on. I had a lot of ideas going through my head and kind of bounced some ideas off my family. And so I just prayed about it, and I did the same thing, put it up to God every night. And I kept getting crickets, and I thought, oh, well, maybe I'm not supposed to do this. Maybe it's the time of year. Maybe it's, I had lots of rackets and stuff going. But anyway, it was probably about 4 days in when I just got my message so loud and clear what I was supposed to share. And I had angels just speaking to me so loud. And so I just sat down. It was the middle of an afternoon. And I thought, you know what, this is the time to just sit and be still. I kept hearing the be still a lot. And so I just sat with it and I prayed, and it just came through. Just like Mariah said, it came through with ease. And I think I wrote for 2 hours until my hand just like couldn't write anymore. And so I decided to take a break, and I could not wait to get back to it. So I took a break, probably had some tea or something, and then came back to it and finished probably within, I would say maybe 4 hours total of just receiving. And it was so, so beautiful to just have that confirmation of the divine just sitting with me and listening, and with me listening. And it was just beautiful. And what an amazing experience. And I just have to say, in reading the chapters of everybody here, I'm just so filled with joy and love for all of you, and sharing all of your stories. It just fills me with so much joy, and I feel so honored to be here with all of you.
Thank you, Amy. Thank you. I feel the same. There's such an honor and gratitude for this group of women who showed up so vulnerably. And I'm so happy. I'm so happy that you, when the thoughts of doubt showed up, that you didn't push them away, that you actually kept showing up and kept showing up, because it always gets darker right before the light, as most of us know, right? So Amy, thank you for writing. I'm going to acknowledge Amy's from Colorado. I'm feeling like I want everyone to say where they're from, because I want everyone who's listening to get that we are everywhere, right? Like this isn't just one little pocket of the world. Like we are everywhere, and we get to represent women everywhere and men everywhere, and what's possible with God. So collaborating with the divine is so powerful. Liz, I'd love for you to share your experience writing. And where are you from?
Fabulous. So I'm Liz Stone, and I'm from Tooele, Utah. It's just about 30 minutes out of Salt Lake, if you're familiar with that area. And I love that you brought up kind of pushing through the doubt, Kara, because I have been working on, like a few of you had mentioned, I've been working on writing my story or writing a book for years now. And when this opportunity came up, I knew I wanted to be part of it. I knew it was important, but I don't know if this will make sense, if this resonates with anyone, but there were entire words that I couldn't put down on paper. And I just wrestled with that. But there really is there's kind of this moment, right, where we have the opportunity, we have this inspiration, and we have this moment where we get to choose in. And I remember I was traveling to Arizona. There's a big show there. We were trying to get there for our business. And we were traveling. I'm thinking, how am I going to write this? And just little by little, kind of choosing in every day. Okay, I'll just do this. I'll just do this. It was New Year's Eve. And I was once again sitting on the bed in the hotel, and I said to my husband, I don't think I can press send. Like if I put this out there, it's out there. And I still had that going on for me. So my husband's wonderful and supportive, and he's like, Liz, you've done the work, let it go. And that phrase to me, just let it go. Like, so I released that and put it out, and he said, oh my gosh, come here. And I had no idea it was so close to midnight because I was so focused, and the fireworks were going off outside our window. And to me, that was just like, the timing was so divine, because I feel like, God was just saying, hey, we did this, like we did this. So it was a beautiful confirmation to me, but I got to wrestle, and I got to choose in day after day.
Liz, I think I'm gonna get a little emotional. I just really honor the path you've taken to get where you are right now. Like, I remember reading your chapter and just like weeping of like what you've been through and who you are in the world. Like Liz has a center for people who struggle with trauma. And for you to be this beacon for people who struggle, like your story just so deeply impacted me. And I'm so grateful you pushed through, and that you were able to have that magic of what happened when you hit send. Thank you for sharing that. And thank you for writing.
Of course. Thank you for having me in.
Beautiful, beautiful. I would love, Nicole, you're next on my screen. Why don't you share where you're from and a little bit about how it was for you to write?
Hi. Okay. Thank you, Kara. And I feel the same way that I just feel the same way that everyone has said. I feel very honored to be part of this. I am from Arizona, and I've got 6 children and 4 little grandbabies. And I, this was really interesting for me because truthfully, I've never thought of myself as a writer. And I definitely have never thought about sharing something so private. And I really echo what Liz said and what Mariah said, that it was like sharing something that was kind of scary to me. But I have to be honest, when I started writing, I just was bawling because I was writing something very dear to my heart. And that was that I had always had this sacred space. And the word that came to my mind was hope. And another word was anchor. And I thought about that. And what's interesting to me is that at the point that I was at when I had listened to one of Kira's podcasts, she became an anchor. So writing this chapter just really pulled through that I was going to give even one person maybe hope, hope that they are seen, that they are heard, that God hears people. So I appreciate it.
Well, Nicole, I'm just so honored that you're here. And I want you to know I fought like hell for you. You were my last author. And I was like, Nicole, you're supposed to be in this book. You're supposed to be in this book. And I was like after you every week because I heard how important your chapter needed to be in this book. And so I just really honor you that you wrote it and that you're here.
Thank you so much. Yeah, you've been an anchor. So the stories are so touching to me. And most of them I would say, oh my gosh, that was so important to be in there. That was so important to be in there. So anyway, thank you.
I'm so happy you're here. Thank you, Nicole. I have got Randa. Randa, why don't you share where you're from?
I'm from Arizona, lovely sunshiny Arizona. I knew that I wanted to be a part of this book because I've struggled at certain times in my life with suicide ideation, and I just wanted people to know that there is hope. And I am by nature a procrastinator and waited till like the last minute to even start my chapter. And I kept thinking it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. But within 3 days, I was able to like really receive this chapter of my story and what was possible. And I think the neatest part of writing this chapter was I listened to this one song over and over for 3 days, and I didn't even know what the song was about. I just loved how it made me feel. And about a week after I pushed send on this chapter, I thought, I want to know what that song means. And on the app I was listening to, it's called the 1111 song. But I just want to read you what the artist, his name is Mero. He says the song is about the duality of existing, loneliness and companionship, love and fear, life and death. Like this song was just so perfect. It's called the Lightning Song. And so if anybody wants to hear what that's about, it's just such a magical song. And can I say how wonderful it is to see all of the other authors? I haven't met you all, but that's just really great to see all your smiling faces.
Randa, I'm so glad you're here. I'm so grateful you wrote your chapter. And I love I really love, I love that you guys are sharing how quickly these came through for you, right? Like they didn't actually take 4 weeks. For many of you, this came through in 1 to 5 days, right? And that's the power. That's why this book is so powerful. Nothing that's in this book came from our minds. No one figured out their chapters. Everything that was written was divinely guided, channeled through. And I love that you were guided to have that music with you, Randa, because music is such your space that that God gave you a song that helped you bring it through. So I love it. I'm so glad that you're here. Cece, you are next on my screen. Why don't you share where you're from?
I'm from Atlanta, Georgia, if you can't tell. You know, when I started writing my chapter, I knew what I wanted to write about, but because I had had these 3 experiences with these homes that we lived in that were pretty miraculous to me. But when I sat down to write it, I wanted to tap in emotionally so that I could really, you know, have the words move through me. But I'm really on this thing about my emotional thoughts and being very controlling of what I allow my emotions to attach to. But I did it anyway. And I started typing, you know, all the stories and everything. And I swear the people from the stories started showing up. They started calling me, texting me, people I hadn't even talked to. I mean, my landlords. I was like, oh my God. I said, let me hurry up and get this done because I can't afford, you know, I was going back, you know, emotionally to the times, and they were hard times. I mean, they were, you know, challenging times anyways. And so, you know, that was the craziest thing to me. And I even told my daughters, I was like, oh my God, they're like, hurry up and get that done. So, you know, we don't have to go through all this again. And I did, and, you know, and it was fine. And afterwards I had to reset and get neutral emotionally and all of that. And, you know, and it came through and I was like, oh my God, I don't even know what I said. I said, I'm just going to send it in. I hope it's good. The editor, you told me she was intuitive. I said, I'm going to go with that. I like that. That's my thing. So I just sent it and let it go. But, you know, since I have to say, you know, my story was not really tragic or anything, and I didn't have, you know, a lot of pain involved with it, but I still felt, you know, afterwards, even today, I'm like, oh my God, my life story is out there. And I've been feeling some type of way about that. But then I said, 222 and Kira 222, and, you know, I'm not going to worry about it. It's meant to be. And hopefully, you know, people have asked me to even tell those stories, like at gatherings and stuff, the people who know about it. And I'm like, you know, people need to know that when you go through challenges, you know, if you tap into the divine, that no matter what it looks like, I swear it's going to work out. It works out always for your good, or you can use it for your good. And so, you know, that's what I go with in exposing myself to the world with my little stuff.
I'm so glad you did. Cece, I just have to do a quick backstory that on my journey of entrepreneurship and building my businesses, I joined a mastermind 2018 was when our mastermind started. I met Cece in this mastermind, and I mean, how do you not love Cece, right? Like literally,
we sat
like
next to each other too the whole time. Well, before that, we met before that. Remember, we went to the one thing, and we were neighbors the whole entire weekend.
You're right. I just fell in love with Cece. And then at the end of this mastermind, we all got to stand up and give a speech, like we got to be speakers. And when Cece gave her talk on working with the divine, I was like, oh, this girl, this woman, she speaks my language. So when this book showed up, I was like, Cece has to be in this book, because this is Cece's life, like your stories and the way you live. I'm so happy you shared it. It's going to bring so many new ideas of miracles for people. And I'm just so grateful you're here, Cece.
Yeah, well, and I just want to say I'm so honored also to be with you guys. I have to confess I haven't read the book at all. I cannot find the manuscript you sent. And I have been searching for days for it, and I said, I'll just have to wait for the book. But as soon as I do, I'm going to read it like that, and I'm going to be spreading. Whoever put in the thing about sharing pieces of it, that's brilliant. I'm going to be reading some of you guys', I want to share that.
Yeah.
Because people really do need to see that you can go through things and still come out thriving.
Yeah, so true. Oh, thank you, Cece. Thank you for sharing. I've got Valerie next on the list. I'd love to hear from you. Valerie, why don't you share where you're from?
Hi guys, nice to meet everybody. So honored to be in this space with you. I'm from Wisconsin, and it's amazing how we all kind of have the same feelings, and I thought I was alone in my feelings, but really being in this group just proves that you're not alone. And my most favorite part about writing this book, this chapter, is the part where it showed me that it's important to believe. And like everyone, it's scary to be putting yourself out there, or to share your heart, or to say something so important, and you're like, oh my gosh, first, what are they going to think? This is trivial to them. And then next thing you know, you're like, oh my gosh, who am I to even say this? They're going to judge me. But as a recovering fear addict, this book has kind of just showed me that it's okay. Let it go and trust and share, because like many of you, suicidal ideation is very near and dear to my heart because of family members and loved ones. And even myself, moving to this country 30 something years ago, it was difficult. And I didn't think about it then, but oftentimes that's where you want to go. It's just to end your life, and you just want to be done, right? But I want to show, especially my children, that hang in there, because there's more. And if you just lean on something so great that holds you with so much love, it's okay. It's okay to be weird. It's okay to be different. It's okay to be, making sense out of numbers that show up, right? It's okay. And that's me. 222, Kira said 222. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna have to be a part of this, because this is even my numerology number. This is my birth number. Like my life path is 22. And I'm just like, it's been showing up since 2018. And when Kira said, right, I don't know, I've been speaking with Amy, and I said, I haven't started this chapter. It's been what? I don't know. It's going to be due soon, and I don't know what to say. And so, I was okay, we're just going to have to sit down and show up and just be open. And so that's what I did. I did your process, and I woke up at 4:30 in the morning, just to fit it in my day. And the night before, I prayed to God, what do you want me to share? What do you want me to say that's going to have resonance to those that may see my work, my life, my story? And mine came through my dreams. Everything from my dreams, they didn't make sense. But when I woke up in the morning, I had a feeling. And that feeling is what, I felt my body was like burning warm. I'm just like, okay, I have to write this feeling. So I did. And the feeling was written and written and written. It wasn't organized. And then finally, it was almost due. And I sat there and I said, everything is here. I just got to put it together. And 11:56 on December 22, I hit submit. And I said, there it goes. And I told Kira, I said, you told me 12/22/22 is the due date. I really wanted to honor that 2/22. So here it's there, and whatever that means, it's going to be what it is. It's what's meant. And as soon as I did that, I'm like, oh my gosh, it's there. Like Liz said, it's out there. Now what do I do? Now I just trust. I trust.
Oh, Valerie, I'm so glad you did. And I'm so grateful that you're here because your words are so important. And I love what you said, that you hope that this brings hope. And that's something that I really believe this book does. There are lots of stories in this book that people had to go through severe pain and trauma that led them to finding the divine. And I think as we share our experiences, it creates a new reality, a new belief becomes real. And so I love that you brought that to the surface, because I believe this book brings so much hope. So thank you for your part, Valerie. Kristen, I love the yellow. You know, yellow on you is my favorite. So why don't you share?
For you, Kira.
It's just so magic on you.
I was like,
It's
I
so
got
great.
yellow for Kira.
Oh, it's so beautiful. Well, tell me, can you share where you're from and share a little bit about your chapter?
I was born and raised in Montana, but I am living in Arizona with my husband and kids. Writing this chapter was very surreal. In 2021, I decided to do everything that scared me. That was my goal. So I spent my whole 2021 completely out of my comfort zone. And I thought I had almost made it to the end of the year, and you invited me to do this. Dang it. I'm like, now I got to do it, because that's terrifying. And, you know, part of me was like, I don't know how much to share, what to go into. But as these amazing ladies have talked about, I gave it a couple weeks, trusting and knowing that God would show up with whatever it was that I was to share. And that's exactly what happened. Just one day I was like, okay, here we go. And I wrote the whole thing out. I think it was like 9 pages. And as I went through it, I was like, I hope this gives women hope that just because you're stuck in something, you know, I was just in the day in, day out with a lot of anxiety, with 4 little kids, and feeling depressed, kind of feeling stuck, like, you know, when is it going to be time to do something for myself? As I look back, though, I see, like, you know, God had orchestrated every single thing to lead me to where I am today. Like, every single piece had to happen in order for me to do what I'm doing today. So there was no accidents. And I think until I sat and wrote it all out on paper and saw like the divine hand in every single thing, I realized, well, God's not going to drop me now, certainly. I mean, that's my hope, is that people can look at the stories and see that everything is serving us. Even our greatest pain is here to serve us and to guide us into who we are to become.
I love that, Kristen. I'm so glad that this came on the year where you leapt into fear, because I don't know, you guys, Kristen has this program called Magic Inside, where she helps parents see the magic inside of their children, but really also like helps us see our own magic. And I think what you brought to this book is your magic. You did bring this magic to the book, and it is 100% that if we can have the outlook that everything is working out for us, even the hell, even the pain, it's all in our highest good. I mean, that shifts everything for our life. So I'm really happy you brought that.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Thank you, Kristen. Cammie, we got another Arizonan right here. Cammie, why don't you share a little bit about you?
Hey, I'm Cammie from Arizona, like Kira said. I will tell you my experience writing this chapter. As soon as Kira asked for the chapter, I was all in. And then I got sick and I went almost the entire 3 weeks, like not even being able to mentally function well enough to do it. And so the whole time I just kept like feeling into, am I supposed to do this chapter? Am I supposed to do it? But I couldn't function enough to sit down and write. And so New Year's Eve, I was still feeling pretty rough. And I text Kira and I said, I don't think I can do the chapter. Like I just haven't been able to. And she said, it's okay. You know, there'll be more, it'll be another time. And then I got off, like she sent me that message. And then I heard January 1st, it's on. Like that's what I heard from the divine, because I had been sick for 3 months straight now. And so I heard January 1st, it's on. And so I woke up January 1st and I heard, you are writing your chapter today. And so I text Kira and I said, can I give it to you today? I know I didn't get it to you. Can I get it to you today? And she said, I will give you the time to do it. Yes, you've got a day. So I sat down and I wrote that chapter in 2 hours that day. I mean, among all of the like craziness of kids and New Year's and everything else. And I just told my husband, I need 2 hours. Just give me 2 hours. And he was like, okay, like, you know. And I sat down and I wrote it in 2 hours and sent it over to Kira. And it was, I mean, honestly, I couldn't tell you what I wrote in it. I haven't gone back and read it again after I sent it off. But I just said, I hope it's good. I hope it's okay. And she said, it's okay and better. So, I mean, I'm just a testament of the same thing that everybody else has said, that, you know, when you work with the divine, when the divine asks you to do something, it comes with ease. As long, you know, do you trust and you surrender that it will happen exactly the way it needs to.
Oh, Cami, I love that. Nothing like, you know, Florence Scoville. I feel like I gotta drop her name in because I'm pretty sure she's here. Like, in this circle, like so a part of this work. She's been one of my greatest spirit guides. And, you know, she always says, God is never late. God is never late. God is always right on time. And that's what I really feel about what you're sharing, Cami, is like, yeah, the due date was, you know, December 31st, but like, God's like, no, you got this. January 1st, it was one day other, you know, one day passed, it's fine. And it came through so fast for you. So just really feeling into like God is never late. And that's like such a peaceful rest for me. So I love that you shared that, Cami. And I love your story. I mean, you know, I really just honor you and your connection with the divine and the light you bring to the world, Cami. All right, we have got Hollie. I'm so happy you're here, Hollie. I didn't know you were coming. Yay.
Did I not like RSVP? I'm so sorry.
Well, actually, like no one RSVP'd, so this is all surprise for me, but I'm really happy to see you here.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I was always planning on coming. I'm sorry, I was unclear about that.
I'm so happy you're here.
I'm here. I'm Hollie Would, and I also hail from Arizona. So holla to you Arizona peeps. I'm down in Vail, which is, yes, there's a Vail, Arizona. I wish it was Colorado, but it's cool because I'm close to Tucson and I can like go to the gem show and have fun there. But anyways, yeah, I'm a mom. I have some kids and I'm a healer and I love my job. And I love being authors with you guys. As I'm sitting listening to all of each of you beautiful women individually, I'm thinking, this is me. In every chapter, this is me. You know, I'm you guys are me. Each of these voices is a part of me, an expression of me. So, you know, it's not easy to put into words, but I'm really touched by the voices you bring to this and the parts of me that you're awakening in this book. And that I just, again, I'm not sure how to put it into words. I'm just so appreciative. And I'm excited to be a part of this. So thank you for showing up. Thank each one of you. Thank you, thank you, thank you for showing up. I'm glad I got to show up. For some reason, it was a really easy yes too. It was just like, yeah, of course, I'll write on this. Done and done. I don't know when I'm going to do it, but it's done and done. At the same time, I was completing my first book, and it was like a week's time, and then this book came through, like you girls said, you women said, excuse me, so easily. Since I had jotted down a few ideas, and those came easy, and then later when I was just, you know, filling in the blanks about these stories, it was like, well, that was easy. And there was those instances of like, oh, I'm going to put this out there. That's going to be known. And all right, how much do I share? How much do I kind of limit? And it was really fun to get it out there. And it helped me kind of define that relationship even more, as far as like, oh, looking back, wow, that's my journey. Hello. Like, oh, okay, I've been talking to God this whole time. And it does morph a little bit, and it's also strengthening to look back at that story and see that, and to know that my connection with God doesn't have to always look the same, but I can still have that collaboration and creation together. For me, the story, it was a bit of a struggle to figure out, how is it that I connect with God? I feel like God's a little silent, like maybe, you know, similar to some other man authority that I know. I feel like maybe he doesn't talk to me a ton, but I figured out over the years, we worked together, and you know, God morphed, I morphed, and our connection morphs. And I really love that. And I'm really glad to get to share that in this story. And I'm also so happy and passionate about the Centers for Hope, that this book is going to, you know, provide all the proceeds for. And that is really exciting to me. I understand suicidal ideation. I have family members that have been deep in that still struggle with that have in the past, and maybe we don't know as much now, but it's inspiring to hear the voices of others that have gone through that struggle and know, I'm not so different. They made it through, maybe I can make it through. They came through this way, maybe I can come through this way. I mean, it's really special to connect with you guys, my family. To me, you're like my spiritual siblings. And I feel like everyone who's going to read this gets to feel that we're connected to them too, that they're our spiritual siblings. And I kind of, again, like we're a part of them, they're a part of us, and we're going to grow together. So thank each one of you for I thank each one of you for showing up and bringing your voice to this, lifting up others as you're lifting up. It's really been a pleasure to be part of this. So thank you, Kira, for giving me the opportunity. This is an amazing work, and I can't wait to see what keeps coming. This is beautiful, wonderful, wonderful, wonderful.
Oh, I love Hollie. I mean, do you guys just love Hollie? Hollie has this like superpower of bringing playfulness to spirituality, and I think she really brings that through, which was so powerful in this book. That's what's so beautiful about this book, is that every one of you receives in your own special way. And Hollie, you just bring so much light and joy and playfulness with how you collaborate with the divine. So I just really honor you for bringing that.
Thank you. I'm like, I do what I can. I mean, some of you guys, you know, you have children too. I'm like, you can hear my kids in the background, hopefully not, but it's hard for me. That helps life. I've been so serious about, okay, this is the rules, the checklist. This is how I'm supposed to show up with God. And if I don't show up this way, maybe it won't work. Maybe God will be silent, or I'll be shunned, or, you know, all the things, right? You guys get it. So for me, I think another thing I realized writing my chapter was, I'm always who I have been. To me, I thought I was hiding in my youth. I was shy. I was, you know, I was really kind of thought I was in a corner, not who I was. And then, oh, I'm getting older. Now I'm discovering who I am. And it's like, no, I've always been this person. And so that's, yeah. When I wrote that chapter, I thought anyone could tell this story. This isn't special. This isn't gonna help people, because, you know, sometimes you hear those voices. But then I realized, yeah, I am who I've always been, and that's something that people need. Like I said, you guys are like a piece of my personality, and I'm a piece of your personality. That weird, playful person shakes their head or whatever. It was silly earrings. So yes, I love the beautiful voices that are in this book, and thank you for letting me be that funky, playful person.
I love it, Hollie. Thank you. Thank you. Jessica, I see you next on my screen. Why don't you share where you're from and a little bit about how it was for you writing your chapter?
Yeah, so I'm from St. Louis, Missouri. So different area. This is all real new to me. So, I wrote my chapter and I talked about my background and my past, but really the concept of being able to directly receive from God was not something that was really familiar to me or something I knew could be done. And when I went to write this book, well, I didn't start like many people. I didn't start until after Christmas. And I also finished on New Year's Eve. So I, was finishing up the chapter there, and it really didn't take long, I think, because, and I loved how, Mariah, you said this, because when you create with the divine, it's easy. It comes through easy. And not that it's easy to share the vulnerabilities, that part's really hard, but the message that you're meant to share is the part I think that comes through really easily.
And what I want to highlight here is that Jessica and I started working together, I don't know, probably maybe 10 months ago, 11 months ago. And when Jessica showed up in my mentorship, she was like, but I mean, how would you explain it? You're like,
I said, I think there's something spiritual here, but like, I really am not ready to deal with or even think about or confront that.
Yeah. Right.
So let's just put that part on ice for now and help me write this book that I'm writing.
Right. And fast forward, now it's like, Jessica's got this extraordinary connection with the divine, channels a lot of her work through. And I just love that, I love that story, Jessica, because you were very in your mind, you're a lawyer, you worked as, this big top role of a corporate, business. And like when you decided to start receiving from the divine, it wasn't this crazy hard path. It wasn't like, okay, now you got to put in your time. It just like, you just had to choose. And then it just kind of started to flow.
Yeah. And I think what I would say is so powerful about this book is what a number of people have said too, but in so many cases, we all struggle with that connection with God and with how to receive and what it looks like. And, whether it's real, whether it's not real, what are we experiencing, all of the doubt, everything that comes with it. And I think it's such a hope for people that are struggling or aren't sure or don't know, because we've all been there. Every woman who wrote a chapter on this book has been through challenges, hurt, heartbreak, doubt, and concern over what their life looks like and what they're trying to overcome. And I think, the centers of hope and just normalizing a bit, I think it never ceases to amaze me how you think it's such a uncommon thing, and so many of us have been there. So many of us have family members that have been there, and being able to normalize that, how many people get to that point of suicide ideation and struggle and come out the other end, and you would never know because of how they look and how they act and what they do in the world today. And so just really embracing that this is a normal story. It's not a weird story. It's not a broken story. It's just a normal, different story that you can come out the other side from. And I think that can just be really powerful for people. And it was for me reading all of these ladies' chapters.
Yeah. Oh, thank you for sharing that. Thank you for being here, Jessica. I want to make sure I got every single author. So if I did not come to you, because there's quite a few on the call, please just unmute, but I think I reached every author. I want to just share before we open up, we're going to open up for a few minutes of any questions that anyone who's here in the summit wants to ask. But I'll share, why I created this book that's going to support Centers of Hope. Because you're like, well, it's not really like I don't know if it looks like it matches, but it does for me, because for me, I spent 14 years battling suicide ideation since I was 14. I don't know, maybe 14 years. I don't know. I didn't actually do the math, but since I was 14, I've struggled with suicide ideation. And when I had my deepest break where I really wanted to end my life, God showed up for me and God told me that I was to stay. And I committed that if I was going to live on this earth, in an earth filled with trauma, filled with pain, filled with grief, filled with sadness, that I would do whatever God needed me to do. And that was the beginning of when I truly leaned in 1,000% collaborating with God. And I have built creations and programs and written books, and my life looks completely different because I chose to live my life collaborating with God. And so that is why this book is so important to me. This topic is how I'm alive. I am here because I chose to live. I chose to live because God asked me to, and I made a commitment to work with God every day since that day. So this book, I believe, will bring hope, but this book is what is going to open pathways of miracles. This book has already opened massive miracles for these centers of hope. And even though, and I will say this truthfully, I have no idea how to build these centers, but I don't care because God does. So if I just show up every single day and do what I'm inspired to do, these centers will come alive, whether it's next month or next year. Like, I don't actually care. I know that there is a plan and a vision to help people who are struggling have hope and find the divine in their lives. So that is the mission. That is the purpose. I know everyone here has felt something in their heart that you just know, like each one of us have walked these paths and that they're just true in our soul. So I would love to invite anybody who's here as a guest to this summit. If you have a question, if you can just raise your hand, or actually, I feel like it's going to be a lot easier if you just do a quick unmute. And it doesn't even actually have to be a question, but maybe it's something that you just experienced listening to all these women. I know it's kind of intimidating to actually share in a group. I just realized that.
Kara, also, just if people wanted to pop something into the chat, that might also be
Yes.
a little less intimidating way if anybody has a question.
Cool. Good call. If you want to ask a question, pop it in the chat. I have this weird thing about me where I'm a compulsive sharer in all the wonderful ways. So I'm never afraid to share. So then I forget that it's probably hard for a lot of people to share. So, okay. Yes. I am so grateful. I'm going to invite, anyone can pop things in the chat, but as we complete this summit today, here's my invitation for everybody, authors and guests, is that you start to play. And the word is experiment. And I really like this word because experiment means that it might not work out. It also means you're not super connected to the results, right? So if I was like, hey, why don't you experiment and use these two, formulas and put them together and see what happens, you wouldn't be like super committed to the result. You're like, yeah, let's just see what happens. Is this going to blow up? Is it not? Right? Like, I have 4 boys. We blowing up a lot of things over here, right? Like, this is kind of a fun space to be in. But I would love for everyone to experiment with the divine. So I want to say why I say the divine and not just God. For me, the divine, and this is just me, and that's why it's the divine, so everyone can have their own experiences. For me, it is God, but then there's a divine mother that I work with, and I work with Christ quite often, and I have my angels. This is a whole team that I work with. So when I say the divine, it's a whole team that I work with. So everyone gets to have the divine be who the divine is for you, but that's why I use that word. So my invitation is that tonight, right before you fall asleep, and this is a magic window. So it means you can't look at your phone after you say this request. You can't go look at the TV. It's literally that window right before you fall asleep. If you can put up the request to the divine and ask that you be shown, and then ask for help with something. Do you need help with business? Do you want to write something? Do you need help as a parent? Do you need help in your marriage? Like, where do you want direction? And you ask for that direction right before you fall asleep. And then you're going to go to sleep. And the next morning, Do not look at your phone. Do not just jump out of bed. Set aside 10 minutes. And I want you to sit down and just write, and write to write, which means that you don't know what you're going to write. You're just putting words through your hands. Now, many of these women use this technique to write their book. Many of them said the first few days it was silent, right? So if it's silent, just keep trying. Just keep experimenting. And one of my favorite things to do is that I ask that I be shown the answer in my dreams or right when I wake up. Why? Because it's fun. Like, it's super fun when God answers me in my dreams. I love it because it's very, very clear that I'm getting distinct answers in my dreams. Also, because I have 5 kids, that is serious multitasking. If God can answer me while I sleep, woo, I just won. I just saved myself so much time because I just got answers while I was sleeping. If you can ask this right before you fall asleep, show me the answer in my dreams or right when I wake up, and you do this day in and day out, you will start to receive, you will start to collaborate with the divine, and your life will become that of miracles and what I believe is the highest form of magic. Like, this is living magic.
Kira,
can
I add something to that? I think the other thing with it is to not doubt it. So many times I hear a message and I'm like, wait, is that my head? Am I making that up? What does that mean? And I joke a lot with some of the visions that I get, that I start off with like, why are you showing me this? Why are you showing me this painting? Or why are you showing, and like, this is made up. And I think you've got to trust and just see it through, because then it comes full circle and then you do understand.
Yes, yes. And that's the part of writing it down. So, and I see JT's hand up. So I'm going to come to you, JT, in a second. Thank you for doing that. When we write what shows up to us in that really sacred space of the morning, we don't actually doubt it later on. But if we don't bring it to earth, and writing is how you take a spiritual concept and bring it to earth, which is obviously why I help people write books, because I'm like, this is how you're going to bring this to earth. If you write it, you don't doubt it anymore. It becomes solid. So I love that you brought that up. Thank you, Jessica. JT, I'd love to hear from you.
Okay, so I'm sorry I missed the front part of this. I had another appointment. If I would have known, I would have like pushed that appointment away. But anyway, I'm here. I hope it's recorded though, because I would love to hear what everybody said. Okay, so meantime, I have to share this with you. I just have to. So I met Kira through another coaching program, and I am in the big one. I never can remember the name.
The spiritual entrepreneur. Yes. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. The whole thing. Okay. I started doing that prior to me getting into that program. I was writing a book and I was having the hardest time. Like it was just so difficult. And yet I know my subject so well. Well, I've been practicing. I've been doing this. I have like days and days and days in a row of my meditation. And this is what I do every day. I ask, just like you just talked about, before I go to bed, to be shown the things that I need to do the next day, what needs to be revealed to me. Well, I also have had on the back burner writing this e-color guide. It's what I teach. And I actually had an old message come up from 13 years ago on Facebook that said, starting to write my e-color book. That e-color book is not done. And I hadn't started it, and I hadn't it was just like, but it needs to be out there. People keep asking for it. I started writing it 5 days ago. It's in editing.
Yes, JT. Yes.
5 days. Like I sat down and I just started writing, right? And I kept asking for the downloads. And then I would go do something else. And I would come back and I don't even know how all of that got written. But now I'm like reading it and I'm like, wow, this is pretty amazing. And my editor, who in this niche has done other people's stuff, and she's like, oh my God, this blows anything anybody's written about this away. Like it makes so much sense to me. I just wanted to share that with y'all. That's
so amazing. And I'm so happy you shared this, JT, because this is the power of what happens when we ask to collaborate with the divine. before you were probably trying to write it from your mind, and now you're allowing the divine to write through you. And not only does it come through so fast, but it's always more brilliant than we could ever come up with.
Mhm.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, I'm so ready. I'm so excited. Thank you. Thank you. Okay. I have a question in here that I'm going to ask. I'm going to read. Oh, Mary Pat, I'm so happy you're here. She says, I'm curious about how many of you have published the Freedom House and how that was for you. So I want to first acknowledge it's 11:03. I am going to hold this open till 11:10. So if people have to leave, just know I'm so grateful that you are here. But I think this is like a really powerful question. I would love all of you who are authors with Freedom House, I'd love for you to just share quick what your book is titled and how that experience was publishing with Freedom House.
There's also a question before that too.
Oh, was there? Okay, cool.
Yeah,
Okay, I'll grab that one next.
But I'll quickly go. So
Cool.
go ahead.
No, I would love to hear.
Okay.
Share with us your book. I think I have it right here.
It's right here. Kira has it too. Party.
Yeah.
It's rainbows and playful, like I am. But this is a book where you get to fill in the blanks. This is where you get to know yourself better. And anyway, it was really fun to write. It was really easy to work with Kira, work with her her team. Publishing, it came through very fast. I had questions and doubts, and they helped me work through those. It was super smooth and happy. And I got all this. I got advertising stuff for me, and any questions I had, or in fact, I just brought it to a local bookstore and they bought it. So like, it's just, and it's really good energy. She helps bring the good energy to it and helps bring the good energy out of you. I wasn't shoved aside. I wasn't marginalized. I was treated like an author should be treated, somebody who's bringing a creation, birthing a creation into the world. I was very honored and supported. So in a nutshell.
Thank you, Hollie. It's such a joy. And Hollie has a new book coming out already.
Yeah, it's been book after book after book for me. It's crazy. Once you start letting God in, or divine, it just keeps coming.
Magic. Thank you, Hollie. Who else has a published book that we've published?
I do.
Yes. Share.
So my book is called Conversations with the Divine Mother, Finding a Personal Relationship with Divinity. And my experience, that one also was written in 4 weeks. And it was super smooth, like even writing from the beginning, coaching with Kira and how to do that was super easy. But then once I was done and I sent it off to her, I mean, I didn't have to do anything else. She sent it to me, to final draft to proofread, like to go through and say, is there anything else you want to change? And even after we did send it to the formatter and I came back with a couple more things that I was like, can we actually? And it was super, like, they were super great about getting any changes made. It was so easy. And like Hollie said, they make marketing materials for you and everything. So yes, I'm with you, Hollie. I have 3 more that I've been told I need to do. And so it's just getting that done. So
I love it.
You on her podcast too, just by the way.
Oh yeah. That's the best part. I love when we get on the podcast after the book is published and really like share your experience. Cami was my first client who wrote her book in 4 weeks. That was so freaking fun. I love that story so much. You wrote like one of the most powerful books in 4 weeks time. That defies all authorship laws, right? Like everyone else is like, I am going to take 5 years to write a book. I'm like, bullcrap. We have 4 weeks. The world needs this work, right? Like,
can I tell you, I also have artists in my book. And so I reached out to a bunch of artists, and one of them is a good friend of mine. And we have a mutual friend who has been in the process of writing a book for years. And she was like, so when did you start this? And I said 4 weeks ago. And she went, but so-and-so has been writing hers for years, and she keeps sending it to the publisher and they send it back. And she's like, how did you do that? And I was like,
with the divine.
I didn't. Yeah.
Right. All is possible with God. Oh, it's so beautiful. Thank you, Cami. Thank you. Jessica, I know you have published with us. Why don't you share a little bit about your book and how that was?
Yeah, I mean, my book was really complicated. It's long, had 150 citations. Like it's a big thing. Freedom House supported me through all of it. I wanted a hardback book in addition to a paperback. I have hardback copies. I have it at Barnes and Noble. I just did the Audible. So I love Freedom House. I've got a second book coming and then a third one after that. So yeah, I love Freedom House, huge supporter. Easy.
So fun. I I really want to acknowledge, like, Jessica's just got book after book after book coming out of her, like most of us, right? Like once you write, you just don't stop. It's just so magical. And I have to say this other piece, and then there's another question. For me, I want to go to an all-inclusive resort all day long. That's all I want. Like, I want to show up. I want all my food cooked for me. I want everything done. Like when you have 5 kids, you're like, can I please have everything done for me system in my life? And that's what I created with Freedom House. For me, it's like, this is a done for you system. I could not do this though without Claire. So Claire is on here. She has 4 kids under 7, all boys. So I'm pretty sure she does not have her screen on, but I have to acknowledge Claire. Claire makes Freedom House work. Freedom House would not work without Claire. Claire, I am the dreamer, the visionary, and I see exactly where we need to go. Organization isn't my specialty. Claire is so opposite, and she can take anything that I create and makes it work for every author. So I just like have to give Claire, like, thank you, Claire, for being the brilliant genius that you are. And like, you all are blessed because Claire's here. So I just really have to give her all of her dues. I'm looking to see if there's any other, I mean, Mariah, we published a book together way before I had systems. So I'm almost nervous to have you share.
Yeah.
Mariah was one of my first books that I published, and it was not smooth. But thank you for being there with us in that rocky time.
That was one of the funnest experiences because so I was working with Kira and we were doing this thing. I was like, I think I'm supposed to write this book. And I feel like it's probably a lot like Hollie's, in that it was kind of like a journal. And I would just do these little journal prompts. And what happened was, at that time, Kira didn't have all of the one-stop shop kind of thing. So she was kind of guiding me, oh, send it here for this and here for this. So I had sent it to this editor to, like, format it all to upload it into Amazon, into their program. And as soon as I did, like, it wouldn't go. I was on vacation. I was in Oregon. Like, Kira, I'm trying over and over and it's not going. Okay, I guess I'm not meant to do this. And then I came back from vacation. I sat in my backyard, and within maybe less than an hour, I had done it all myself. I had literally, like, typed it all out, did all the lines, put in all the artwork. I'm like, how am I even doing this? This is crazy cool. And with it, and then it uploaded, like, the first thing, and I was like, wow. Well, I guess this is my new, that's how easy it is. That's how easy it is.
Yeah.
That was funny.
I am so grateful that I think you were my first book that I published. So I didn't know what the heck I was doing, which is kind of so exciting to look at how far we've come in such a short amount of time. But I'm so grateful that you were a yes, so that I could learn, how do I create these systems to support authors, but also, like, for you to watch, like, God just guided that whole experience. And tell them the name of your book really quick. I'd love for everyone to know the name of it.
Oh, it's the Guru Within journal. It's a journal about, it's just about what these writing prompts and being in touch with that voice, that inner voice that I refer to as the guru, But then I actually took my finished product and I flew to India with it, and I presented it to my guru at the time. I presented it to my guru, and to watch what what we refer to in that space as Divine Mother, to watch Divine Mother have something that we create, holding this in their hands and blessing it, is like, I knew at that moment that this was going to be my new path, that all of what I was doing was actually, the last 9 years was leading up to starting to write these divine books, because all of our stories need to be read. They need to be out there, because this is the time where this is great change is happening. And I know we all feel it. I know we're all inspired by it. We're inspired by each other. And the message that I always got every time I would fly to India, 8 times, was Western women are going to change the world. Western women, and I want you to feel that, Western women are going to change the world. So all of you honor that in yourself. All of you honor what you're doing, and just keep connecting to the divine.
Oh, Mariah, thank you. I wanna just really honor everyone who's written a book. If you guys can put it in the chat, the name of your book, so everybody here can go search it, that would be awesome. Aubrey, I love your question. And Aubrey, if you could put in the chat your email address, I want to send you anybody who would like my free masterclass, where I actually teach the spiritual practices that I taught these women on how to write their books with the divine. I will send that masterclass to you. I should have probably had that link ready. But if you can put your email in the chat, I will send that out to you today. It's free. You can watch it. It is the practice that I use every day when I write. It's the practice I've taught all these women that helps them channel their books through. To me, it works. So I want to just acknowledge everyone for taking time to be in this conversation, right? Like, we could be doing laundry. We could be like at Target, which I love Target. So shout out to Target. But we could be doing just regular human things. But instead, we spent an hour and 15 minutes in this magic space, in this sacred space, on the most magical day, I think, ever. 2022. You cannot get more magic than that. So I want to thank everyone for coming. I'm so grateful that you're here. I'll be sending this recording out, and I just love you all. I love you all. Have a magical, magical day. Go grab this book today. Like, grab 10, because you are going to fall in love with it, and you're going to give it to every single person you know and love. So thank you, thank you, thank you. I'm going to stay on so I can get everyone's emails, so I can make sure I get those master classes out. Authors, go freaking celebrate that today you are a published author. Blessings to you all. Okay. Beautiful, beautiful. I'm going to hit stop on the record.